thing we're going to draw is a prokaryote cell. And if you have colors, you're probably going to want some different colors because they make it life better. What's the common name for prokaryotes? Huh? What do we call most of our prokaryotes?
Bacteria.
They're all bacteria. There's two types. There's the normal bacteria, which we named bacteria, and then there's Archaebacteria. We're going to draw them. So mine's going to be this shape, but what is on the outside? What organelle is on the outside of a bacteria? It's not technically an organelle, but maybe it is. Close. Outside of the membrane. Cell wall. Bacteria have cell walls. Okay, so we have a cell wall on the outside. That's okay. You're good.
Oh, I wasn't here.
Yeah. Why don't you do this?
Oh, darn.
Yeah, you can say that too. Okay, and then so we have cell wall, and then we have what right underneath the cell wall?
Membrane.
The cell membrane. The cell membrane. So we have cell wall, cell membrane. Well, and then bacteria don't have a bunch of organelles. In fact, they have no membrane-bound organelles. They just have free-floating organelles. Does anybody know what else is in here? What else does a prokaryote or a bacteria have? That is a common misconception because people think that you need mitochondria to make your energy, but bacteria don't have mitochondria. Yes. Ribosomes. Their ribosomes just float around.
Like all over?
Yeah, they float all over. I'm going to draw something else over there, so that's why. They just look like little dots. They're very tiny, despite all the hard work they do. What do your ribosomes do for you? Who remembers? Make proteins. So they're going to make protein. And there's, besides the cytoplasm, if you want to try to label your cytoplasm somehow, you can. It's all the empty space in the cell. It's just like what's filled in the rest of it, but I'm not going to label it here. What else is in there? I got one more thing in there. No, good guess. It's not in the nucleus, but it's still there.
No.
Yes. DNA. Their DNA is in a closed loop, but it's still a double helix. So DNA in a circular loop. Okay. And then the last thing they have is something to help them move around. And so,
so like the DNA is like a circle?
Yeah, so the DNA is actually in like a circular shape. They only, like we have a bunch of different strings of DNA. They just have one loop of DNA. And then to move around, they have things called flagella. They can have a bunch of flagella. Their flagella can be little. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Their flagella can be small, little hairs all over them, or they can be long like that. They move them around, move the bacteria around. movement. Flagella. It can be hard to see there. So. Sometimes that helps. Because I know that seat can be hard to see. Okay, questions on prokaryotes at all? They come in 3 different shapes. So I'm just going to draw their shapes quick. Some are circles. The circular ones are called foci or spheres. So like little balls. So some are circular shaped. Some are rod shaped. And the rod ones are called bacillus or bacilli. I'll just do bacilli because I did foci. Or rods. And then there's squiggly ones. And they are called spirilla. Or spirilla. I'll move in a second. There we go. And they're squiggles. All the bacteria in the world are one of these 3 shapes. Oh, there comes the smell. Okay, so I just want to show you quick what these things look like. I know. Sorry, Drew. Not Drew. Dang it.
Reese.
Well, you know, I'm sorry. I don't know why that's such a thing with me. So the foci bacteria look like. I'm not going to have good pictures. Okay. This way. So they're going to look like this. If you see them today under the microscope, some of them might be foci. They're like little balls. They almost look like little bunches of grapes. The bacillus look like, here's a cool picture with an electron microscope. Ours won't do this, but pretty cool picture of them. If they're grown in little clumps, the clumps are called staph. So if you've heard of like a staph infection at all, I know my sister got a really bad staph infection growing up, and they had to like cut out her skin. It was like inner skin. She had to like pack it with this gel every day. It's disgusting. So if they're in clumps, they're staph. If they're in lines, they're strep. So here's bacilli. They're like the rod-shaped ones. You can see these are rods, little rods. Okay. Streptobacilli are in lines like this. So see, they connect together in lines. And then the cool ones that will kill you easiest.
Fun.
The ones we have the most trouble with are Spirilla bacteria, Spirillum or spirochetes. They look like this, and they're actually bacteria, but they're like, come on. Okay, so Lyme's disease, you guys have heard of Lyme's disease, caused by this type of bacteria. Really hard to kill, dangerous. Yeah, nasty. It's weird because they don't seem like they'd be a bacteria. They look like little, like this one, look at that, how crazy. So, yeah. Okay, so that's prokaryotes. Questions? Okay, now we'll go to eukaryotes. And there's 2 types we're gonna draw, and it's gonna be helpful if you put them side by side. One's gonna be a plant, and one's gonna be an animal. So plants have something surrounding them that animal cells don't have. What is that? Cell wall. Animal cells do not have cell wall. Why do plants need a cell wall and not animals? What do you guys think? They do make their own energy, yep. It's mostly actually just mobility. So we move around, and so if we had a cell wall, it would make us stiff, essentially, because it's a very rigid structure. Like think of the bark of a tree trunk, like that is cell wall material, so it could get really stiff. And so plants have it just because they're more stationary and they need that protection. Animal cells, we need the mobility, so we've lost our cell wall. So animal cells, no cell wall. And inside a plant cell wall is what? Membrane. So it has some membrane for both. And these are eukaryotes. So what's the big thing they have compared to prokaryotes? Nucleus. Fruit Loops?
Yeah.
It's my lotion. Nucleus with linear DNA. So linear means in a straight line. So nucleus with linear DNA. What other organelles do you remember? When people think hard. Mitochondria. So mitochondria, kind of like bean-looking thing. They there's a bunch of them, but I'm going to draw one. But your cell has a ton of mitochondria. M-I-T-O-C-H, mitochondria. See how many are in each cell. There can be up to 600,000 mitochondria per cell. Lots of these guys.
How many?
600,000 per cell. What else we got? Your organelles, you did a POGL on it or a worksheet on it. Or think of the stations around the room.
Train.
Lysosomes. Lysosomes are just little bubbles that digest waste. What was the train one?
I don't know. I have to look.
Remember what the train track was in there?
Oh.
Thank you for swearing on my
Move stuff
video.
around. It was like,
Wasn't it
let the, no.
Yeah, you got it. Stop swearing on my video. Lipids. Hopefully somebody's parent
That's what I
doesn't.
said, yeah.
Hopefully somebody's parent doesn't watch it. The Golgi.
I said this.
It makes lipids if that. We're missing the one that would probably kill you second fastest if you didn't have it. So important that bacteria have it as well. Ribosomes. And in eukaryotes, your ribosomes are actually found attached to this guy. Ooh, this guy. It was the other one that looked funky. Called the ER, the endoplasmic reticulum. So the endoplasmic reticulum, and on the endoplasmic reticulum is where you find eukaryote ribosomes. We do have some floating ribosomes, but most are on the ER. We are running out of space. There's the animal's done. Your animal's good. Your plant's got 2 more special things. What's your plant have?
Chloroplast.
Chloroplast. Yeah, your ACEs test. Your test is gonna be next next Wednesday. Just so you know. Chloroplast.
So is it just like circles on top of each
Yeah, they look like these little discs, like stacks of like. You guys are probably way too young to know what pogs are, but that's what they're.
I've heard of them.
You heard of them?
I think it was in.
They're big when I was in like kindergarten.
Wait, it's not in the.
And then what's the very last thing? Animals technically have tiny ones of these, although it's disputed. Plant has a big one to hold all its water. Vacuole. Yeah, you are very about this.
Should we put a vacuole on the?
I would just put one on the plant. So the things I put in green are things that only plants have.
Is the vacuole always on?
Wait, it's
No, the vacuole is all just any open space you can find. It holds water. You guys have seen the vacuole work. It holds water. It empties out. Have you seen your parents' plants? Maybe if you have plants around the house, it gets wilty. Then when you water it, it perks back up. All that's happening is that vacuole is shrinking, and then the vacuole is blowing back up. Yes. Sure.
It's like on the round.
I know, dude.
It's just any open space is pretty much taken up by
Animal
vacuole.
have a vacuum? Because like my skin is.
It's disputed. Some people think they do to store like lipids and other things. We don't really have a big water vacuole storage, so.
Wait, can you like see the cell?